has gradually disappeared over the last 10 years without people really noticing.
The convenience and accessibility promised by the internet of the 2000s and 2010s is gradually being taken away from us. I bought a season of a show on Amazon a few years back, and then they seem to have somehow lost the rights to the original, so now I can only access the dubbed version, which I do not like. The show now is only available on a streaming service that does not exist in my country, so I got a VPN, only to find out that I cannot pay for the streaming service without a credit card. So now I just ordered the box set again, like I would have done 15 years ago. It is not just the streamers. I remember when website loading times were the topic when talking about browsers, but now every website you open requires you to take 2 minutes to close 5 legal questions and a pop-up, "Do you want to register garbage?" with the X's hidden in different spots every time. There are ads everywhere, and even if you buy the premium version of things, there are still more ads within the content, all for stuff you would never buy. Places like YouTube remove functioning like and dislike features so that you cannot tell what videos you can simply skip. Google also seems to be less efficient than it was 8 years ago, and finding anything online has become a chore. All new security measures they introduce just steal your time and life energy. You want to log into Netflix on your PC, but you cannot because it needs to be registered as a temporary device. So they send you an email, but to open the email, they first need you to enter a code they send to your phone, which is in the other room, so you go get it. And once you have entered the code and opened Netflix, you forgot what you even wanted to watch in the first place. Do not get me started on all the updates. Everything seemingly needs to do every other week. Online spaces for kids. When I was a child, we had several online places made for children. Every single children's TV channel had a website with games for kids. There were several online games geared towards children, like Club Penguin, etc. Now, if you're a 10-year-old, you either rot your brain with terrible YouTube videos or you rot your brain with social media. Coins on the sidewalk. There used to be this rocky part of a park that I could always find quarters in. Each time we visited, I would spend a lot of time rummaging through those rocks just to find a couple dollars worth of quarters. I made up stories in my head about how a truck full of quarters must have crashed there years ago, and they just never picked them all up. As I got older, I lost interest, but that place was always magical to me. It turns out my dad was dropping quarters in there when I was not looking because he knew it made me happy and kept me busy. Mid-career jobs. The great flattening. Yes, to add to this, climbing the corporate ladder has seemingly disappeared as well. I do not know a single one of my friends who has actually been promoted. If they ever move into a higher position with better pay, it is because they switched companies. And then we get scrutinized by our parents for our lack of loyalty. The lack of promotions and raises absolutely drives me nuts. My last job was very confused and upset when I left because I did so well. They liked me and I got along with everyone. They requested an exit interview, so I did one. I was very blunt. Promotions were strictly limited to once every 2 years. I had tried to negotiate a higher raise as a stopgap, 7% instead of the typical 3%, which would have put me in the middle of my salary band, but was flatly denied. I asked what the incentive was for me to go above and beyond when 3% was the ceiling. I then explained how frustrating it was that I had not asked for that much, and that I was asking for average compensation for objectively excellent performance, based on their performance metrics. I asked them to explain to me how it made sense to deny that, given that now they were going to have to spend at least 5 months searching for a replacement, based on how long it took to find me, given how uncommon the combination of skills necessary for this job was, that they were going to take 3 to 4 months to get up to speed, representing a total of 8+ months of lost productivity, and that, assuming my value added to the company was equivalent to my salary, it was going to cost 8 to 10 years of the raise I asked for just to get back to baseline. They had no response. And this happened at my first 2 jobs. It should not be this hard to be rewarded for doing well at your job, especially since it is cheaper for the company than hiring externally. I am in that position with my employees. It sucks, and I will support them if they need a good recommendation for a different job. But my organization gives me a raise budget of 3%. I know how much it would cost to hire someone new, and I want to pay them more money. I would rather take some of our tech budget and just give it to my team. But there is no avenue forward with my organization's policies. 3% budget for raises, and promotions max out at 7%, or to the minimum amount needed to have them reach the bottom of the salary band. Small independent hardware stores. They used to be a small town staple, especially in the Midwest. Almost everyone used to be the oldest business in town, having been open since like 1895. Now they are all mostly gone, and your only alternative is a big box hardware store or ordering on Amazon. It is incredibly depressing. Toys and cereal boxes. The devolving of toys and cereal makes me so sad. My children do not get to experience it. I remember the toy was on the top, outside the bag, but People would open the box and just take it. Then they put it in the bottom, under the bag, but they would take that too. Then the toy was wrapped in plastic and put somewhere in the actual cereal bag. Then no toys. I remember color-changing spoons and the monkey-linking toys, but they were from The Jungle Book. Those were my favorites. Man, the joy of being arms deep in a cereal box, determined to get that toy before one of my brothers got to it. It is sad my kid will not get to experience it. We had a house rule that you could only keep the toy if it fell out while you were pouring your portion of cereal, so there was always lots of careful shaking and angling to try and get it in a favorable position before you started. Good memories. The ability to read and comprehend something longer than a paragraph. I am an English teacher, and this is a serious problem. I have several students who do badly at reading comprehension because article-sized texts are too long. These are not lazy kids either. Some of them are very good at other aspects of their work. They all speak 3 languages, but by their own admission, they just do not read. I do not mean they do not read books. I mean they do not even read magazine articles, newspapers, or websites. They literally just read Instagram comments and the like. This is going to have serious consequences later in life when they go into higher education and they cannot study. Or they try and get an office job that requires that they read reports or anything longer than a short email. Also, an English teacher. The problem is that kids do not think it is going to be a problem for them because they will be able to ask an AI assistant to summarize things for them. And they are probably right. The scary thing about this is that there will not be specific consequences for individuals. The consequences will be societal. The good old $800 beater car that would actually run and drive. Good luck finding anything nowadays that will run and drive for less than $3,000. And cars that ordinary people could repair. In the least sarcastic sense possible. Critical thinking and self-reflection. It is really a struggle to engage with people these days who are not capable of putting their bias and personal beliefs aside to think big picture or critically about any issue. People just jump straight to personal insults, fallacies, and needing to feed their ego. I would also add to being able to see shades of gray. I see a lot of black and white thinking now. Lots of absolutism, which to me reads as a lack of common sense in a lot of ways. It often comes out as someone giving a general piece of advice, say, do not eat yellow snow, upon which someone will inevitably mention that they happen to live next to the factory that produces the lemon extract flavoring stuff. And sometimes the snow in the area becomes yellow, but it is because it is lemon-flavored snow, and it is delicious. So obviously, the advice not to eat yellow snow is completely always invalid in all situations. And the person who offered that advice is both wrong and dumb, and nobody should ever listen to them. It is like people are becoming more and more unable to understand that generalities assume you have common sense enough to realize that exceptions are, in fact, exceptional, and those do not invalidate the generality. Just because you happen to live in the one place in the known universe where yellow snow is actually lemonade snow does not mean that, for the vast majority of the planet, do not eat yellow snow is not a valid, good guideline to follow.
Thanks for watching. Check out our other stories, and don't forget to subscribe. More unbelievable stuff coming soon.